You know, we often think of the analytical world and the emotional world as two completely separate places, right? One is all about logic, systems, and hard data, and the other is about feelings, connection, and empathy. But what if I told you that the most advanced systems thinkers are actually the ones who value feelings the most? Just maybe not in the way you'd expect.
So this is the core question, isn't it? We all have this stereotype in our heads of the hyper-rational engineer or the brilliant strategist, someone who just sees people as nodes in a network. The assumption is that to think clearly about really complex systems, you've got to push all those messy human emotions off to the side. But is that actually true? Let's see what the data has to say.
Okay, first, let's get on the same page. We're pulling from a framework called spiral dynamics, which is a model for how human values evolve. And in that model, the yellow value system represents a way of seeing the world in terms of interconnected, flowing systems. It's not about rigid rules, and it's not about pure self-interest. It's all about understanding how everything influences everything else. Think of it as the mindset of, say, a master architect or a brilliant, complex problem solver.
So, here's the assumption we're putting to the test. If these yellow thinkers are all about systems and function, they should be the most likely to dismiss feelings as just irrelevant noise, right? You'd think they'd see empathy as a distraction from the cold, hard logic of the system. But that's not what the research shows, not at all.
Now look at this, just one number on the screen, negative 0.1246. This single data point, pulled from over 1,200 responses across 85 different countries, completely flips our stereotype on its head. So, what does it mean?
Well, here's the crucial part. That number represents what's called a statistically significant negative correlation. In plain English, it means that as a person's yellow systems-thinking mindset gets stronger, the chance that they will strongly reject the importance of feelings actually goes down. Put it even simpler, the smartest systems thinkers don't dismiss empathy, they're the absolute least likely to reject it.
And this isn't just some isolated fluke, the pattern is incredibly consistent. As you can see, the more someone thinks in this yellow, systems-oriented way, the less likely they are to reject the importance of really listening, or trying to imagine how someone is feeling, or even just sensing their emotions. So why is this? Well, to a yellow thinker, all these empathetic skills are just ways of gathering incredibly valuable data. They show the health of the system, its stress points, its hidden potentials.
Okay, so let's get really precise about the difference here. For the green value system, which is all about community and relationships, empathy is a moral imperative. The whole goal is connection, to feel with somebody. But for yellow, empathy is a functional tool. See the difference? Feelings aren't the end goal, they're data points that tell you about the state of the human system. The goal isn't connection for its own sake, but making the whole system function more effectively.
We can actually trace this evolution of empathy's purpose. For the orange, achievement-driven mindset, empathy is a soft skill, something you use to influence people and close a deal. For green, it becomes a moral value, something you use to create harmony and belonging. And then for yellow, it evolves again into systemic data, used to calibrate and improve the flow of a complex system. It's not about rejecting the old ways, it's about repurposing them.
And this is not just theory. I mean, look at Satya Nadella at Microsoft. He completely reframed the empathy, not as some feel-good corporate buzzword, but as a core business strategy. By understanding the feelings and frustrations of users, by treating that as crucial data, Microsoft was able to innovate and design products that actually made people's lives better. That is pure, yellow-style functional empathy in action. Now, because this view of empathy is based on data, it has incredible predictive power. These correlations aren't just interesting little factoids, they actually form the basis of a predictive engine that can forecast how real teams in real organizations will react to different management decisions. So how does that work? Conceptually, it's pretty simple. You start with a potential action, let's say cutting salaries. Then the model filters that action through the known psychological profile of the team, their fears, their values, their levels of trust. And based on thousands of these correlations, it calculates the most likely outcome. It lets you see the ripple effects before you ever make a move.
Let's use a really concrete example to see just how powerful this gets. The action is this: management sends a team on unpaid vacation. Now, in the old world of management, that's a purely financial decision. But in this new world, the outcome depends entirely on who you are doing it to.
And the results are just fascinatingly counterintuitive. If you look at the chart, that first bar shows a team with a purple or tribal mindset. For them, this action actually has a positive correlation. They accept it as a kind of shared ritual sacrifice for the good of the tribe. But now look at the orange, achievement-focused team in the middle. The reaction is strongly negative. They see it as inefficient, a roadblock to their success. And finally, for a green, community-oriented team, it's positive again, but only if it's framed as a way to save their colleagues' jobs. It's the same action, but 3 completely different and predictable realities.
So what does all this mean for leadership? Well, it means the old debate between hard skills, like finance, and soft skills, like empathy, it's just obsolete. The future is integrative. It's about recognizing that all the soft stuff, the fears, the trust, the values of your team can be measured, modeled, and woven into a rigorous, data-driven strategy.
The key here is really about balance. True yellow integration doesn't dismiss emotions, like an orange mindset might, but it also doesn't get overwhelmed by them, like a green mindset can. Instead, it synthesizes these views. It sees emotional understanding as a powerful, functional tool to be applied strategically to make the entire system smarter, more resilient, and way more effective.
And this leads to a clear, actionable blueprint for a whole new kind of leadership. First, you survey to measure the invisible data, the fear, the trust, the values. Second, you use that data to profile your team's unique psychological vector. Third, you model different actions to see their likely impact, checking for any unintended consequences. And only then, fourth, do you act, executing the strategy that has the highest probability of success.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. We've just seen that empathy, or at least its functional impact, can be translated into data and used in predictive models. It's computable. So if we can turn the messy world of human feeling into a solvable equation, what other parts of the human experience, things like conscience, morality, even creativity, are next?